Cool.
Trip to the dry cleaner today.
All
I'll
right.
bet you it's garbage.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Normally, we would rise for an invocation, but we have recently lost Peninsula Township's supervisor, Mr. Pete Correa, and I would ask that we mark his loss with a moment of silence. Thank you. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Miss Sarah.
Wheelock.
Yes, ma'am.
Lathrop.
Here.
Propa.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Crawford. Here. Klaus.
Here.
Max Bauer.
Here. Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Are there any changes, additions, deletions, corrections to the minutes of August 17th? Seeing none, they stand approved. This is our first opportunity for public comment. Ms. Sarah, the rules, please.
Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners, which is required to be open to the public under the provision of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. Any person wishing to address the board shall state his or her name and address. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioner questions, if any. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. The chairperson may, at his or her discretion, extend the amount of time any person is allowed to speak. Public comment will be solicited during the 2 public comment periods noted in Rule 5.4, Order of Business. However, public comment will generally be received at any time during the meeting regarding a specific topic currently under discussion by the board. Members of the public wishing to comment should raise their hand or pass a note to the clerk in order to be recognized and shall not address the board until called upon by the chairperson.
All right, at this time, I will open the floor up for public comment. Would anyone like to make public comment? Matt, please come on up to the podium.
Matt Scheck, 306 9th Street, Traverse City. Topic is minimum wage. One view here. On June 7th, the Washington, D.C. Council voted to raise the city's minimum wage to $15 an hour, and D.C. joins New York, California, along with a number of other major U.S. cities and states that have made the move to boost the minimum wage over the last year. The D.C. Council's vote was a major symbolic victory for supporters of the well-organized Fight for $15 campaign. According to the Washington Post, the effort resonates with Americans, and polls find strong support for a $15 wage floor, as many Americans have come to be frustrated by the loss of well-paying manufacturing jobs and the growth of low-paying retail service jobs. The current economic climate makes the push for $15 an hour understandable, but is a $15 minimum wage really the solution to what is a very real problem? Some ominous signs indicate it may actually make things worse. Amir Malki, a leading car wash equipment installer in New York City, says over a dozen car wash operators in New York City have inquired about putting in equipment to eliminate need for workers. Minimum wage advocates seek to solve a legitimate problem, though, that is facing many American workers. Their dollars buy less and less every year, but simply mandating employers to fork over more dollars is a little like putting a Band-Aid on an amputation. It doesn't do anything to address the underlying problem. Another view is our money is broken, and we need to fix it. The U.S. government's monetary policy devalues our currency, and that means less purchasing power for you and me. Simply put, when the government debases currency, a dollar no longer buys the same amount of stuff it used to. Quantitative easing debases the currency, and the Federal Reserve has engaged in that practice for years. So what does this have to do with wages? Well, consider this. In 1964, the minimum wage stood at $1.25 an hour. To put it another way, a minimum wage worker earned 5 silver quarters for every hour worked. Today, you can hardly buy a cup of coffee with 5 quarters. But the silver melt value of those 5 quarters of 1964 quarters today stands at over $15 an hour. So there's your $15 minimum wage. This vividly illustrates currency debasement in terms of purchasing power. The value of the silver remains relatively stable, but the value of the dollar shrinks. The long-term rise in the price of silver reflects this reality. Now flip things around. Today, it takes 60 quarters to make up a minimum wage at what the minimum wage advocates want. If you paid that in 64 silver quarters, the value of the metal at melt value would be something in the neighborhood of over $175. In an economy with stable money, prices tend to fall, not rise. That means more purchasing power to the poor,
Thank you,
minimum
Matt.
wage workers, those on fixed incomes, and savers. Minimum wage hikes only mask the problem. We need to fix the money.
Thank you,
you.
Matt. Anyone else? All right, I will close public comment at this time. Any changes, additions, deletions to the agenda?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Crawford.
I would move that we remove the appointment of an ad hoc committee to review constitutional officer compensation and possibly make that item a study session item.
I would support that.
Okay, we have a motion to amend the agenda. Am I correct in that needs to be a 2/3 vote?
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe? Okay. Sarah, roll, please.
Lathrop?
No.
Cropa?
No.
Johnson?
No.
Crawford?
Yes?
Klaus?
No.
Wheelock?
Yes.
Max Bauer?
No. Motion fails. Any other additions, deletions, changes to the agenda? Commissioner Cropa,
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda as presented.
is there support? Moved by Commissioner Cropa, supported by Dr. Johnson, to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Next, consent calendar.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted, receive and file, or approval is approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. All information identified on the consent calendar can be viewed in its entirety at www.grandtravers.org. A, receive and file. 1, Health and Human Service minutes January through July 2016. 2, Northwest Michigan Community Action Agency minutes of June 16, 2016. 3, Traverse Area District Library minutes of July 16, 2016. 4, Pugsley Correctional Facility minutes of July 14, 2016. 5, Drain Commissioner Annual Report for 2015. B, approvals. 1, Pension Advisory Board Citizen Appointments. 2, Fiscal Year 2015 Title 4D Cooperative Reimbursement Agreement. 3, Budget Amendments.
All right. Would any member of the public like any item pulled from the consent calendar? Seeing none. Any commissioners? Staff? I would note that Sarah did read the Drain Commissioner Annual Report correctly as 2015, even though it is printed as 2016 on our agenda. All right. All those in favor? Oh, I need a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Commissioner Cropa, support. Dr. Lathrop. Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Next, we have a special order of business. The Traverse Transportation Coordinating Initiative presentation. Mr. Woods and our mayor, Mr. Carruthers.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to give an update on the Traverse Transportation Coordinating Initiative, formerly known as TC Talis. And if you can tell by the name change, we've also gone through a bit of a reorganization as a whole for this particular program. This program is now leaner, more membership-driven approach to coordinated transportation planning within the region. We are on track now to become a metropolitan planning organization, which in layman's terms means more responsibility, a bit more money, more transportation projects. And that includes road construction and transit as well. Just wanted to go, I provided you with a list of some of the milestones that we reached that have specifically affected the county over the past fiscal year. And I think number one, and most importantly, is our group was able to successfully advocate for an annual allocation of $375,000 to the urbanized area, which not only includes the city, but the outskirts of the city, which includes the county and also Beta as well. Beta was able to put some of this money towards future purchases for transit vehicles, and the Road Commission was able to use this money towards projects on Barlow, Garfield, and Hammond Road. Secondly, we are in the process of conducting a random scientifically significant sample that's actually the pilot project starts at the end of the week actually, and getting residents residents' perceptions on mobility when traveling east-west throughout the Traverse City area. As you know, as everyone experiences, I should say, mobility can be challenging, especially during the summer and especially during holidays. But we're hoping to get driver perception for residents within each of the municipalities that represent the TTCI. And these results will help the board better identify and focus their energies in terms of identifying real and potential transportation-related projects. Along with this survey, obviously, we're hoping to come up with some alternatives to address congestion issues, but one of the specific areas of focus that the board wanted us to address is providing updates on the Hartman-Hammond connector, something that's been looked at for long before I've been here, at least. But in a few short months, we were able to get to coordinate with both local, state officials and also those in the private consulting industry on getting an update on overall scope, costs, expectations, and basically what is required to have such a project move forward. And that information will be on our website in terms of, or in the form of an executive summary very shortly. And then lastly, one main thing I wanted to address is our website. Going forward, the goal of the TTCI will always be to be as transparent as possible, but to post any document related to TTCI activities, anything required by the state. As you can see here, we have a public participation plan that's very lengthy, and it outlines our goals going forward for the, I guess, execution of the TTCI. So all that is there for your pleasure reading. And I guess with that, I asked Mr. Carruthers to join me because Traverse City is a member of TTCI, and just wanted to have him share the city's experience working with the group.
Thanks, Mike. I'm Jim Carruthers, Mayor of the City of Traverse City and the Chair of TTCI. I'm here mainly to support the efforts that we are working on for our regional road system. Traverse City, the county, and all the townships, we all come together to make this system happen. We all know that we all share our roads. We all know that the funding is very important. And more recently, we were successful working with the city, the county, as well as TTCI to get the MDOT urbanized funding of $375,000 back to our area, which helped us to construct Barlow, Garfield, and Hammond roads more recently. You've been seeing a lot of road construction lately. We've got a lot to do. This organization is set up to organize and plan and study our needs, as well as to monitor and evaluate the kinds of funding that we can get from the state and from the feds. Very important, you know, through your efforts and encouragement, we've reorganized, and we hope to have a commitment from your board on our board again soon. Everyone's at the table, so I'm advocating for the support, and thank you for your past support and leadership, and I hope we continue to see you at the table, because this is a very important organization to get our roads fixed. I mean, I think we all know from the summer season, from hearing from our friends and tourists, that roads are an issue in not only Michigan, but in our region. So hopefully, with all of our work together, we can make this better and get more of our projects done in a more timely fashion. But thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for either the mayor or Mr. Woods?
I had a few. The urban funds used to come every other year in around $376,000. That hasn't changed, has it?
MDOT recently changed, so you're talking under the small urban program?
The small urban program, that amount you mentioned was 1 year, be a lapse, and have it every other year.
Right.
That's going on for a long time, so
Right.
you didn't really get the funds back as much as it just was a year to get them?
It was annually, and then they switched it to every other year.
Every other year.
And now it's back to annually again.
And how did you divide those between Beta, the road commission, and the city in terms of the percentages given to each one of those entities?
It's a cooperative process, and that's based on discussions between Transit Road Commission and
So
the
has
city.
the money's been allocated?
Yes, through, I believe, 2018, but I can get you that information.
And each group did get some, because in the
Yes.
past, they would never give, the city would never give any up. They'd keep all of it because they had more votes. But that's changed now. So there have been funds actually allocated to the road commission, Beta, and the city.
Right.
And you don't know the percentage of that allocation.
There's no set percentage. Traditionally, how it works when allocating a certain amount of funds to whatever entity is based on an agreement that one entity has a project in a couple years that will need X amount of money, same with another agency. So it's a lot of, there's no set percentage in terms of what should be divided. This program is through the state, and it encourages local cooperation. So
there have been projects identified, which there always were, but there's no guarantee the funds will be distributed to those projects. It's on the year that they come in, the dollars. Is that correct?
yeah, there's no guarantee of anything for this process. It's all based on local cooperation.
And then another question I had is, and this is just historical. I mean, I'm not meaning to put you on the spot, but we did a Meade study in TC Talus. It cost about $1.3 million, and it just kind of went away. Is that being used at all for anything, or has it just gone away, or in terms of any of the work that you're doing? I thought $1.3 million was a fair amount to spend on a study, and thought we might want to use it, but I've never heard anything about it. This is about a year ago, 2 years ago. You know anything about that?
How long ago was this study?
Well, let's see. It might be three
years
but
ago.
It was, I know it was 1.3 million, and it was well, you probably all remember it. They couldn't get it done, and they gave a 6-month extension, another 6-month extension. But it's supposed to be a regional plan that would take us out for a number of years. That would be an integral part of TC Talus and what they were doing in terms of the planning, and as a vehicle to get federal funding and state funding for projects. And I know they paid the money, and I know that the study was done with some controversy, but then I never heard anything about it. It just kind of went away. So I was wondering, you might want to check and see if it's still floating around there someplace. It might have some value. for the 1.3 million spent on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been looking at past studies to incorporate into the new structure of the board. We're also, since we'll be on slate to become a full MPO by 2020, we're actually in the process of working with Lansing to update the regional model.
Oh, good.
So
Well,
all
study
that
might help you.
So
might be
all
a
that
good
data
help.
that's been floating around out there, it's going to be updated to the latest day whenever we ship it down,
Yeah, it was-
and hope
it was-
to have
It
the
was done
most.
by Mead,
Yeah.
and it was out of Lansing, they're a large consulting group, and they were recommended by MDOT, I think. And so that might help you a great deal. I'm glad to see you reorganize. I can tell you from my years with TC Talus, it was badly needed, so I hope that your new reorganization is successful and works well, so good luck with that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
The only question I have,
No, you're fine.
okay. The only question I have for you, Mr. Woods, is you've mentioned the website. What is the website name, in case anyone would like to look at it?
Yes. TraverseTransportation.org.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Wheelock.
Just one thing, you mentioned the MPO status. Is the criteria been changed again, or are we actually going to get there this time?
Yeah, so the population threshold for a urbanized area to become MPO eligible is 50,000. So we're definitely going to reach that by 2020. And they're determined on a decennial basis. So missed our chance in 2010 by, I think, 2,000 or 3,000. Definitely make it by 2020.
It had to do with density. We had the population, we just didn't have the density in 2010, and it was because the criteria changed between 2000 and 2010, so that's why I was just asking if the criteria is being changed again so as that we won't qualify again.
Yeah, in terms of density, it had to do with how far out the boundaries could spread to get that population, and that boundary has been adjusted, and it's a bit larger than what it was in 2010. So it probably is over 50,000, just barely right now. However, I'm sure you're all aware of dealing with in bureaucratic circles, if you will. That doesn't really count until 2020. So, and that's when Traverse City will become the very next MPO recognized by the state.
All right. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Woods.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda, items removed from the consent calendar, we have none. Departmental items, none. Old unfinished business, none. New business, appointment of ad hoc committee for Economic Development Corporation interviews, appointments. We have some openings on the Economic Development Corporation, and I would like volunteers to do interviews. Commissioner Gropa. You're it, huh?
I sit on the board right now, so I figured. Usually how we do it is whoever's on the board.
I'll join you.
Okay.
What the heck?
Sonny said do it.
Sonny?
I can do that.
Thank you, Sonny. All right.
We have some time frame.
Sonny, Elisa, and myself. All righty, thank you very much. Next, appointment for ad hoc committee to review constitutional officer compensation. Volunteers. Dr. Johnson, Ron Klaus, and Dr. Lathrop. With Dr. Johnson to call the meetings. And I'll go ahead and call the EDC meetings. Okay? This is our second opportunity. I'm sorry.
I wanted to make a comment. May I?
Of course.
Regarding the...
You have to kind of
Regarding
nudge me.
11B, as you know, I've always been very open and transparent with you all as part of my fiduciary responsibility as your county administrator. And I understand it's your option to review the compensation packages for the 5 elected officials, and will provide you with any and all information requested to give you the ability to take a balanced and objective look at all those positions. And I'd like to take the brief opportunity to remind you, the board, that we have asked all our employees to pay 20% for their health care, and also some will start paying into their pension plans on January 1 of 2017. And due to the current financial challenges of the county, including increased pension payments we have to face in 2017, and then a retirement health care being added to our liabilities in 2017, the administration feels as a county that we cannot afford salary increases for those 5 elected officials at this point in time. And I felt I had a fiduciary responsibility to this board and the ad hoc committee to bring out our position as a staff to the board. If there are recommendations for increasing salary and benefits to those 5 public offices, I will not and cannot in good conscience include those in the 2017 budget expenditures. Thank you for your time and understanding on the staff's position. Matt.
All right. Moving, Commissioner Wheelock.
Just a couple comments. One, I would hope that we also have some public input into these compensations. These are taxpayer money. The taxpayers should have some sort of input as to how their elected officials are being compensated. And I also believe that the Constitutional Officer Compensation Committee should also review the compensation to county commissioners.
Commissioner Wheelock, the meetings are an ad hoc meeting, and they are open meetings, and they will be open to the public, and the public is certainly welcome to attend those meetings. They will be posted, and I'm sure as soon as Dr. Johnson coordinates his calendar with Chris Kramer and Ron Klaus and Dr. Lathrop, we'll get rolling. Our deadline is November. Yes.
To address the second part, that resolution that we passed, though, with the pay of the commissioners last time stated in there when that was going to be reviewed.
Well, I wasn't sure the way this was in the agenda, whether we were talking about compensation for the 2017-18 term, because the way it was presented, it actually looked like it was the 2017-2018 term of office. So I believe during that term, the commissioner's salary would also be up for review.
We'll argue about it when the ad hoc committee comes back and makes their recommendation to the full board. All right? Moving on, this is our second opportunity for public comment. Seeing none. Commissioner reports.
Prepare fair tomorrow, 4 to 7, Target
Parking lot.
parking lot. About 18 different emergency services groups will be represented there, and Traverse City got to be chosen to be the home for the MSP Prepare Fair this year. So let's get out there and show them how many of us can make it, and thank the MSP and all of the other groups for underwriting that.
And it should be noted that MSP is Michigan State Police.
Michigan State Police.
In case anyone does not know what you're saying.
You're probably going to be shopping at Target anyways. Just stop in.
Yeah.
Stop in and
Target's giving away gift cards and backpacks, and it is truly a big event.
It's for kids, it's for adults, and you can definitely get some good tips, and the kids can see things, and it's great to meet your local emergency services groups. A lot of people never, hopefully, get the chance to meet them, at least not on their own property.
Anyone else have any? Commissioner Klaus?
The letter that we all received from Peninsula Construction regarding the industrial park. When I'm at the Board of Public Works meeting tomorrow, I'll bring it up and
Thank you.
see what's...
I appreciate that. Dr. Johnson?
Project Cherry Tree, next week, some of us are going to Lansing to go meet with the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency Director, Jim Redford, the new Michigan Veterans Health System CEO, Leslie Shanlin, and then the director, I can't remember his name right now, with the governor's staff.
Yeah, I can't remember it either. Is it John?
Strategic Policy Advising.
Yeah.
John Walsh?
John Walsh,
Yeah.
that's it.
So that's the 13th. We'll be meeting them and just letting them know what we're doing.
Considering the glacial speed of government, I truly appreciate your efforts on this, Dr. Johnson.
It's a
I
big
think-
group. I mean, we've stepped on some toes here and there.
But you're actually
But-
getting things done, and
Exactly.
sometimes...
You can't do a lot of things like we want to do, and-
Without.
Yes. I mean, we all know we've liked
And
to
the
see
end goal
things
is to
move
serve the
quicker.
veterans.
And they are also, there's
And-
another group going to Washington
See,
September 20, First or
20,
second?
2021 and 22, and I'm going with that group, and I'll miss that meeting on the 21st. We're meeting with the Deputy Veterans Administration and I think Stabenow and Peters and Benachek. There's two strategies. One is the administrative side of working through the veterans and working through the legislative in parallel times, and so we're working both of those. But it's impressive the amount of progress we made. And also, representatives from the tribe will be going. The chairperson of the Indian tribe will be going with us, and they've been big supporters, as I mentioned to you before. 40% of the tribe are veterans, so they're big supporters of this initiative.
All right, any other commissioner reports? I have one. I attended the city commission meeting last night, and I wanted to let everybody know that CVS Pharmacy is appealing their tax assessment, and it is a substantial appeal. The city commission last night approved hiring a firm to fight the appeal vigorously. I stood up during public comment and I requested that the information be passed to the County Board of Commissioners. This certainly does impact the county as well as the city, and if there is anything that we can partner with as far as the city commission goes, I certainly want to do that. So you will be getting some information from the city commission regarding this CVS pharmacy tax appeal. I'm told that the property recently sold for $7.1 million, and they want their assessment down to 1.6. Now, I don't know if the numbers, I'm getting nods from the audience. So, yeah, I mean, this is substantial. It certainly got the attention of the city commission, and it got my attention. So,
I have a question on that.
hopefully I have an answer.
Well, about 3 years ago, I think it was, the Board of Commissioners passed a resolution regarding county help with the tax tribunal appeals. I believe we assisted on the mall in my district. I don't remember, was the city involved in that partnership, or was it just the townships and villages?
I don't recall, Commissioner Kropa, but I will take a look.
Okay.
We did, just so you're aware, we did intervene, or we asked to intervene in, I believe, 5 city cases, and the tribunal denied our motion to intervene and basically said, well, the county's interests are adequately represented by the city and the city's, response.
But they didn't do that with the township. They were fine with the county being involved with the township.
With the township, I know we did. I do remember a meeting to discuss the Grand Traverse Mall and an offer to assist there.
We did pay part of that legal defense.
We did pay part of the defense. We didn't actively, file anything in the tribunal because we knew the tribunal would not let us do that. But we have offered assistance in the past, yeah.
I'm curious if the resolution included the city for the financial support of the defense. That was, rather than just being part of the actual case. Just something to consider.
Alrighty.
They can be pricey.
Any reports? No closed session? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Meeting next week, right?